First, some general items here. Your clever speed on the average is about 107. So fairly consistent, trial to trial. Now, your swing time, so it takes about 1 second from the beginning of the backswing to impact, which is close to man's average. Now, so this is the clever speed over time. So from here to here, this is backswing. And from here to here is the downswing. Actually, you are spending good amount of time at the beginning of the downswing here. So your backswing is reasonably fast. I promote the fast backswing. However, here, if you look at the peak speed here, so from here to here, this is backswing. So this is about halfway, right? So the peak occurs in the first half, which is not good. So the peak has to occur in the second half here. So the shape more should be like this. What this means is that you have an early quick motion of the club head, but then it slows down. Then here it's a slowing down gradually. Then it's not well connected to the downswing here. So normally you have to build the climax toward the end of the backswing. So as if you're angry. And then hit hard instead of a weak and then slow motion here. Okay. And also here, the club head is gradually moving here and then start rapidly increasing the speed here. This is almost like a casting like effect. So from here to about here, you are letting the club head go away from the body. And this is partially because you have really severe crossover alignment here. So the hands stay closer to the swing plane and the club head is away from it. So from this position, also your backswing is not that large. So you're stopping about here, and then from here try to push this down. So you have a casting-like effect here. So from here to here, it's gradually increasing. But usually what should happen is that the top should occur about here, go to the climax, and then rapidly slows down, and then transition to the downswing here. So that once you start the downswing, then the club head keeps speeding up in one motion. But here you almost have two-stage motion here. Okay, up to this point, you have a slow motion of the club head, and then try to increase the speed here. So this is elite man's average maximum, which is about 110. So the absolute speed is a bit lower than that. But for your height, you're generating more speed than typical. So here again, the peak speed in the backswing should occur more in the second half, and you have active deceleration followed by a transition to a downswing. And also, here 3 and 4 are happening together, and then 5 and 6 are happening together here. 3 is when the lead arm is parallel to the ground in the backswing. 4 is when the club aligns vertically in the frontal plane. 5 is end of pelvis rotation. So in other words, it's the pelvis transition point. 6 is the club transition point. But when you have a 3 and 4 happening at the same time, that means you're introducing wrist cock early. When 5 and 6 are occurring at the same time, then your backswing, downswing are not connected. You don't have active motion. This is because you have a fast motion here, then slows down here. And then when you start downswing, all the body parts are changing the direction at the same time. The later we'll see in the kinematic sequence here. Here, you see these peaks are occurring really early here. This is the pelvis angular velocity peak in the backswing, and then thorax, shoulders, and then the arms and the club here. All these are happening at the beginning of the backswing. So you have a early quick motion, but then slow motion here.
Okay.
It's not well connected to the downswing.
Yeah, I've tried to speed up the backswing a little bit, and that's, I guess it's early rather
So
than.
when you have a faster backswing, then it's not the early part of backswing, but rather you have to build the climax toward the end of the backswing, so that toward the end of the backswing you have active deceleration and then going into downswing here. Then you can use the backswing as a counter movement. So counter movement means a motion happening before the main motion in the opposite direction. So backswing goes in the opposite direction before the downswing occurs. When you jump, normally you will lower your body first and then jump. So the lowering motion is counter movement. And then counter movement has both the mechanical benefits and the biomechanical benefits. The mechanical benefits, when you have counter movement jump, then at the end, at the bottom, you can generate a large ground reaction force. And then also biomechanically, when the muscle works, the ideal way of using the muscle is muscle lengthening followed by shortening here. So during the active deceleration, the muscles lengthen, and then once you start the downswing, then the same muscle group will start shortening. It's called the stretch shortening cycle. So that's the ideal way. With the minimum effort, you can generate the large force. So when you use the backswing as a counter movement and connect the backswing and downswing well, then you have both mechanical benefits and biomechanical benefits. So, but in this case, you are losing the effect of backswing here. And then everything is turning, as you can see here. Everything is transitioning at the same time. But back to this here. Now let's go to the top view here. So at the top you have crossover alignment. So the club is aligned this way here. So if this is the direction of a shot, then your club is aligned this way here. Then on the way down, you have to correct this. If you don't, then if just coming down here and then throw, then the swing plane will be really outward here. So you want to change the direction so that you can throw the club head more toward the target. Then what should happen is your hands are coming in quite a bit here. Your hands are pulling this in to adjust the direction of the club head motion. With that, this large rectangle shows the swing plane, which is calculated from the club head motion. And it is inward here. So this is the target line. And then your club head is more moving this way here. So about 7.6 degrees inward on the average.
Okay.
This smaller rectangle here, this is the hand motion plane, calculated from the motion of the hand. Hand motion plane is even more inward here. So this is necessary because of the crossover alignment. Although the backswing is not large, so this is really the down the line view without adjusting the direction. Then here at the top, although it looks okay, but it's because you are not bringing the club head down this way here. But if you keep moving and give a bit bigger backswing, then it will give you severe crossover alignment. So it's already showing crossover alignment. When this happens, in order to adjust the direction of motion of the club head, you have to pull the club inward. So naturally, you have a really inward hand pad. So if you can drop this a little bit, so they keep the club more or less parallel to the swing plane. So for you, it'll be like you will feel a severe layoff. When you feel you're laying off the club a lot, then that may be just a typical parallel alignment, because you currently have bias toward crossover alignment here. But anyways, so usually the hand motion plane becomes quite inward when you have a crossover alignment. But in this case, both the swing plane and the hand motion plane are inward, but the hand motion plane is more inward than the swing plane. because it's 11 degrees inward versus 7.6 degrees inward. So it's about what 3.5 degrees degree difference here. So more than anything, you have to change the alignment of the club at the top, and then instead of stopping here, because when you maintain this motion and then make a bigger backswing, then you know it will be a severe crossover, so you tend to shorten it. But when the backswing is short, then what happens is you tend to use arms all the way down.
So longer and more laid off.
Yeah. So when you have enough backswing here, and then the muscles are well elongated, from there shortening and then throw, versus on the way back you stop in the middle of the backswing, pretty much. Then you have to use the arms to start. That's why we have a casting-like effect.
See that?
And also all the body parts are transitioning at the same time here. So you just go up here and then just try to move down at once. And then when I was taking pictures around, first in the foam ball condition, I could not get a good picture because from your body motion, I could not see a sort of dominant rhythm. Usually, when I see the dominant rhythm, then I can find the timing quickly, and then I can have really nice picture. I will show you that later, but or I'll send you to your phone. But so it is important to develop good motion rhythm. So when you have obvious rhythm, it's really easy to figure out the timing. But sometimes you go slow, and sometimes you respond. When we say ready, set, go. Sometimes after saying go, you have more time there. But sometimes you respond to go right away. And then so from trial to trial, I couldn't see a good rhythm there. So that's something you need to develop so that you don't have to have a quick early motion here and then slow motion and then try to turn at the same time. Rather, initially it can be slow, but you build the climax toward the end of the backswing and then generate good coiling here, and then from there throw the club in the downswing. Now, when I align it along the swing plane here, now this straight line here is a swing plane. It's called the functional swing plane, but it's calculated from the cleaved path here. So from horizontal to horizontal, using this cleaved path, we can mathematically calculate the swing plane here, and then extend it here. Then we can show how the cleaved is moving relative to the swing plane here. Now, from the beginning here, your cleaved is going flat. It's below the swing plane here. When this happens, you go low here, flat, then eventually you will be stuck here. You cannot go any further. Then what happens? You lift it up here. When you lift, then the elbow is lifted here. When the elbow is lifted, definitely you will go to a crossover alignment. But if you start along the swing plane here, and go above the swing plane and they have good shelling motion here, then you don't have to do this. If you start with steeper, following a steeper path here initially, and keep going that way, then you are going to this position. But because you go flat and try to lift this, then the elbow is lifted like this. Then you have severe crossover alignment. So if you start the backswing a bit steeper here, then this will go away here. Because if this is the direction of motion here, more almost like a throwing the club head, and they continue this motion here, it's not lifting here, but you're using the momentum of the club. So currently what's happening is you have a quick initial early action here, quick action, and then it goes flat here, and then you're lifting this up here. But instead, using the momentum, and then find a simple path to this position here. So when you just almost throw this and then let it go all the way here. So actually, what you have to practice is using this trigger motion. When you have this trigger motion, then you cannot really go flat here and then lift here. Instead, if you continue this motion, here, when you continue this motion here, then the clevet cannot move too much away from the swing plane. So that's why the trigger motion is always important. Using this, then let it go all the way here. So you can quickly change the initial path you're following here. Generally, what should happen is the clevet should move along the swing plane here, and then it goes above the swing plane, and then this looping motion here. That means you go above and they have a good shallowing motion here. Then come back to the swing plane.
Under the plane some, coming down,
On,
or on the plane again?
on the way down, basically this is determined by the clevet path here. So it should be on the swing plane, pretty much.
Okay.
But in the backswing, also start along the swing, almost along the swing plane. So when you connect the ball and your right elbow here, this is a typical swing plane, reasonable swing plane. Then your elbow is already on the swing plane in the backswing here. Simply move the elbow along the swing plane here instead of the hand. Elbow is along the swing plane, then hand stays above the elbow here. So naturally the club head goes higher. So for you, you should feel your backswing is really steep. But actually it may be just normal. Currently you're starting too flat. So you see what happens is initially you're spinning here. Spinning. So spinning is this motion here. This is spinning. But what you need to do is this motion more, this way.
And that's
Spin.
trying to get probably rounder, and that's
Yeah.
probably
The fundamental motion you have to develop is a shift motion without turning here. So initially you should be able to shift like this instead of turning. But you can always add the turn later. Shift, and then after shifting, if you push the ground hard, then with that push, you can add a turn motion here. So it should be shift first and then turn, rather than turn early and then lift here. Okay? So the fundamental motion is a shift here first. If you can shift your body well, laterally, then you can always add turn while pushing the ground good with the leg. So turn is not a problem. But if you don't have the shift motion, if you just turn, everything goes flat here. And then your upper body will lean in the away direction. Your butt will stick out in this direction here. It's because of spinning motion. And then we can see that at the beginning of the backswing, you have this spinning motion here. And then, so this is a whole body center of mass. This is pelvis center of mass here. The whole body center of mass initially moves away and goes slightly up, and then diagonally down and diagonally up here. But you need to move the body up and down more. So in golf, a lot of people say you should not move your body. Particularly, you shouldn't move your lower body. Actually, you have to move in both directions. You should have a good vertical motion and also lateral motion. That way, you are interacting with the ground. But currently, you are not moving in the vertical direction that much here. And then, so this is your initial whole body center mass, which is this red dot here. And then this is after the diagonal motion here, this is the low point here, right? This low point should be lower than the initial position. You have to lower this here so that you can push up here. So you don't have much up and down motion. When this happens, you don't have much ground reaction force here. This is the ground reaction force. And then this is peak force here. But it's the elite man's average maximum here. So you should go at least this much or above. But you're way below here because you don't have that much up and down motion. So when you try to interact with the ground, actually in the golf swing, we have to use the ground really well. But instead of trying to generate force, you have to generate motion. When you have large enough motion, and then with the change of direction, then automatically you can generate good amount of ground reaction force. When the body moves up and then down continuously, this is good opportunity for unweighting. So in other words, the ground reaction force is way less than the body weight. When you move down and up in this transition, you can push the ground really well here. So if you have good from up to down motion, then around here, the ground reaction force should be way below the body weight. The red line should go way below this dotted line here. However, it doesn't go down that much. It's because you don't have much unweighting. And then from the downward motion to upward motion, if you have good transition here, then this peak goes up. And then also the peak should occur about here. This is severely delayed. So in order to use the ground well, you must have a good up and down motion, reasonable up and down motion here. And this automatically happens to a certain extent because when the arms and the club are moving upward here, so big portion of the mass is moving upward, then your central mass moves upward. But if you also add lower body motion there, then you have more exaggerated up and down motion. Laterally, the same thing. You must have this change of direction here. So that's why I mentioned that this shift motion. When you have a good shift motion, then simply by changing the direction, you're pushing the ground well in the lateral direction here. So when you have this rhythm, so up and down and then lateral motion, then automatically you will be able to use the ground really well. And this rhythm is easy to develop because we have two legs here. So the legs are taking turns. At the beginning of the backswing, the lead leg is pushing the ground in the start of the backswing. But in the backswing, you're using the trail leg and push the ground. And then in the downswing, you're pushing the ground with the lead leg here. So you're taking turns. And because we have two legs, we can easily use the legs one at a time. And with that, we can generate a good up and down motion, but at the same time, lateral motion here. So when you just take turns here, step, 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 in this process, you automatically have good vertical rhythm here. And also, when you push the ground, at the same time, push laterally, so vertically and the lateral at the same time. With that motion, your body is changing the direction. So you can create this shift motion by using the trail leg here. So as long as you have the sense of stepping like rhythm, then swing can change quite a bit. So there's no reason to have quick rotation because what should happen in this phase is actually you're shifting the body and then kick and then turn here, build the climax here instead of just the turning early, just the spinning early. So here, we need to see more up and down motion here. So this can go maybe to 5 centimeters, about 2 inches here. But then it has to drop quite a bit so that this low point goes below the initial position here. And then when that happens, you can push the ground well and then later move the body up here. So this shows that you don't have much up and down motion. Now this is pelvis motion here. So pelvis has to be dropped more. But again, you're starting from here and only this much here. So generally, you lacked the vertical interaction here. And then This is the pelvis motion. The pelvis motion is really important because the pelvis is connected to the ground through the legs. So when your legs are interacting with the ground well, then your pelvis will reflect that. Pelvis motion will reflect that. So this red line here is the pelvis rotation. And this is Elitman's average. You're rotating more. And then at impact, again, your pelvis is rotated more at impact here. This is Elitman's average. So you tend to rotate the pelvis a lot more than typical. When the pelvis rotates flat here, it's because of this spinning motion here. When this happens, you don't have enough lateral tilt here. Yeah. So when you interact with ground, you should expect to move the hip up. So when you push the ground, the hip goes up. When you push the ground, the hip goes up here. So you should have good lateral tilt. So image this motion here, rather than just the flat rotation. So you should have good combination of lateral tilt and the rotation. When you have enough lateral tilt, then it will automatically limit the rotation motion because of the anatomical structure here. So currently you are rotating quite a bit here, both ways. And then this is Elitman's average, but you need to actually have, this blue line is lateral tilt, but you need to have a more lateral tilt here. And then this shows the rotational motion of the pelvis. This is a translation of the pelvis. The red line is a forward-backward motion. So pelvis center mass moves forward-backward. And then green is away and toward motion. So the pelvis is moving away from the target up to this point, and then it's returning here, and then keep going toward the target. But when you have this peak here and then another peak here, this is usually because of spinning motion here. Spinning motion. Instead of having active from the initial shift away and then more going toward, not this motion, you are going this way. As the body turns, spins, the pelvis goes that way here. So this second peak here, in the green line here, this is coming from this spinning motion. And then the blue line here, so it should show continuous motion here. Blue line is a up and down motion of the pelvis. So it should show continuous downward motion and then going up here. But here, change of motion here. So you have a quick motion up to this point, and then another motion here. So you have two-stage motion. So this is about 800 millisecond from impact. So let's go to the kinematic sequence. About 800 here. You have these peaks here. So that's when you have a peak rotation of these trunk segments. And then, so you have after quick turn, and then you try to do something instead of from here. This is target position. Then, straight motion toward that target position rather than this. And then this is X factor, the X factor, which is a separation between the shoulders and hips. Yep. So when you look at your body along the spine axis from the top here, then the shoulder line and the hip line are not aligned. So they will show an angle here, separation. That's called X factor. Yep. And your X factor increases rapidly up to this point here. If you look at this blue line here. So the X factor is 0 when these two lines are paired to each other. And then at the setup, your shoulders already turned quite a bit here. So with this much X factor here. And then about here, the two lines become parallel to each other. Then after that, the shoulder turns more than the pelvis here. So the X factor increases up to this point. and then suddenly the slope changes. And then no more increase in the X factor here. It's because initially you have a quick early action of the shoulders here. Then after that, the shoulders and hips are turning together here. Instead, if you initiate the motion with the more body-driven backswing here, then add the shoulder turn here, that it keeps separating all the way here. So instead of just increasing here and then reaching the plateau here, it has to be a continuous separation all the way to top of action here. But after this is 6 is top of action here. This is top of action. After top of action, you still have increase in the X factor. This means your backswing is weak. Your backswing is slow and is more upper body dominant. Because of that, once you reach the top of backswing position, then your pelvis has to slide and open early. With that, you have further increase in the X factor. So the shoulder line is not turning that much, but you're just opening the pelvis early. With that, the X factor increases. So this is called the downswing stretch. It's called X factor stretch, but this is downswing stretch. So you don't have much backswing stretch, but it's a downswing stretch. This means your backswing is weak and it's more arm driven. Yeah. So you need to have a continuous motion, and then using the momentum, let it go all the way instead of stopping here. So spin and then just lifting this versus throw all the way here. It's very two very different movements. The kinematic sequence is basically this plot shows the rotational velocity of the body parts. So red is pelvis, and then green is the thorax, blue is the shoulders, and then gray is the arms, and this one is the club. But pelvis reaches peak angular velocity here, the thorax and the shoulders here. So within the first 200 milliseconds, 0.2 seconds, you reach the peak value here. And then gradually, slowly, okay, decelerating here. Because you have early, quick, snappy motion here. Then you have a slow motion here. When this happens, in the transition, these are not well separated. What we expect in the transition sequence is sequential transition of the body parts. So the pelvis changes direction, then shoulder, the thorax changes direction, shoulders, arms, and club. So that can happen when you have active backswing here. Using the momentum you throw and then coming this way, then automatically we have that sequential transitions. But you go here, when this happens, all the body parts change the direction of rotation at the same time. That's what we see here. So you don't have much transition phase here. The time between 5 and 6, 5 is the end of pelvis rotation, so pelvis transition point. 6 is the club transition point. Then it should be fairly separated, well separated. And then you have sequential transition of these body parts. But this one is basically this one here. Okay, so every thing is just moving together, changing direction together. So you have almost a simultaneous transitions of all these body parts. And then in the downswing, the pelvis, thorax, and shoulders, in the downswing, the peaks are slightly delayed here, about here. But actually, it should be more about here. So it should be a bit earlier. And then, so when these peaks are delayed, when the angular velocity peaks are delayed in the downswing, then you don't have enough time from this point to impact here. So in the first part of downswing, you are accelerating the body. Then in the second half of the downswing, your body slows down and then you keep accelerating the club. But for that, you should have enough time between the peak and the impact here. Okay, you should have more time for the body to lose the speed, but then club further accelerate. And then this is wrist angular velocity. You need to increase this so that the club angular velocity can increase. So at this stage, at impact, what determines the club angular velocity is the wrist angular velocity. When you have good wrist action and release and throw, then the club will also rotate fast. And then this pink line is the wrist angular velocity here, but you are starting uncocking early here. Uncocking and then a bit of hesitation here, and then continuous uncocking here. So we have early uncocking. This is almost the recocking here, but this is usually because you have a short backswing, and then just try to push this at the beginning of the downswing, then the club starts moving away from your body, then that gives uncocking early. But what should happen is when you have good momentum-driven strategy here, go up, and while the body turns, still the arms and club are going that way. When that happens, everything changes. The transition sequence will be sequential. So the pelvis changes direction, the thorax changes direction, the shoulders, arms, and the club. So it's mainly because of your early quick spinning and then slow motion here. So you're losing the connection between the backswing and downswing. So you cannot really take advantage of backswing as a counter movement here. And then let's go to the how well you use the ground. Here, the middle one is the force. So we have 3 arrows here. So these 2 are the forces acting on the feet from the ground. The middle one is the sum of these 2 here, calculated. So the red line is the total force here, the net force. Blue is the force acting on the trail leg here. Green is the force acting on the lead leg. And so here this line is 1 here, which is 1 body weight. So in terms of vertical direction, the force becomes greater than body weight and less than the body weight repeatedly here. When the force is greater than body weight, then it is called the active push. When the ground direction force is less than the body weight, it's called the unweighting. And then we usually have active push, unweighting, active push, unweighting, repeating when you have good interaction with the ground in the vertical direction. But this one here, a little bit of push, a little bit unweighting, a little bit push, a little bit unweighting here. This is a slight push, and then a little bit of unweighting, and then hard push here. So instead, you have to stay around the body weight, and then good push once, good unweighting once, and then good push here. But you have a really small push unweight repeating. It's because you don't have dominant vertical motion. When you have dominant vertical motion coming from the leg actions, then you have a stepping like rhythm, then you will see that this force goes way above. And after that, we have good unweighting and then hard to push here. So after this, I will show you a good pattern. Yeah. Then you will be able to see the main difference. And then here, you're starting with the similar forces on both sides here. Or here, you have a bit slightly more force on the lead side. And then, so here you have more loading on the trail side, but this difference can be more. So what should happen is in the backswing, instead of just redistributing the weight, rather you have more of an active push here, active push. So and also in order to have a good push here, usually the maximum ground reaction force occurs about here when the club is aligned vertically on the way down. So this should reach the peak value here. In order to have a larger peak value here, before that, you must have good unweighting. This has to go below the body weight. So push, unweight, and the push. But here, because you don't have dominant push or dominant unweighting here, so that's why your body center mass does not move in the vertical direction that much. Yeah, that means you lack interaction with the vertical interaction with the ground. And then this lower graph is called the moment time here, which is basically the distance between the center of mass and this line of action of the ground action force. So let's see here. About here, you can see that the force is passing through the center of mass here. Here's the point in the force passing through the center of mass, that there's no gap here, right? So its momentum is 0. But before that, this is the longest momentum in the backswing here. The force is not passing through the center of mass. So we have a gap here. This is the line, and this is center of mass here. This gap is the momentum. So this is the longest momentum during the backswing. And then in the downswing, the longest momentum occurs about here. Okay, now the force is slightly inclined toward the target, and then you see this separation here. That's this value here. But it's way below the man's average here, just about half. So in order to have a longer separation, you should have the force more inclined this way here. If the force inclines more, then there will be more gap between the point and the line, right? So then you have a longer momentum. So in order to incline this more, you must have more horizontal force. That means you have to push the ground horizontally this way. The ground pushes your foot this way here. So you have a large horizontal component. But in this case, the horizontal component is not that large. So that's why you have a short momentum here. The reason why the momentum is so important is because if you multiply the momentum and the force magnitude, then it gives the torque you generate by using the ground. And because the momentum is short here, your torque is also about 1/2 of typical value here. So in order to increase the torque, then you have to increase the momentum here. For that, you need a good amount of horizontal force. Then you have to interact with the ground in the horizontal direction. So you have to learn how to shift the body. So here, basically, you are lacking fundamental rhythm here. Okay, so you need to have good push around the two here, good push, and then continuous unweighting toward the top of action, and then push, and then the peak has to occur early. So the easiest way to do that is using a stepping-like rhythm. So when you have just the stepping, step, 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 throw, throw, practice this here. So when you just take steps. Yeah. But the first is always the shift motion. You have to learn how to shift. So for example, imagine you're holding the rope here, and then nicely move the rope left to right, left, right, left, right here. Instead of turning like this, then the rope motion becomes complex. So simple rope motion, you have to synchronize your body motion to the rope motion like this. This only gives a shift motion here. So when you have a good shift, then you will be able to interact with the ground in the horizontal direction well. Then you can add the rotation after that. So without even using the arms, but just using the body, shift and the turn, you can move the rope around. Okay, so the shift motion is really important. Now, let me show you another pattern here, which will definitely inspire you. This is Grant weight. See how his pattern is different from yours. First, the peak here occurs toward the end of the backswing. 3 and 4 are separated. 5 and 6 are well separated here. And then toward the end of the backswing, the clevet loses the speed quickly, and then going into downswing here. And then he generates more than the man's average speed here. And then if we look at the top view, the planes are better aligned toward the target line here. And then when you align everything along the swing plane, you see the clevet is moving along the swing plane pretty much, and it goes above, and then nice looping motion here. And then at the top, almost parallel here to the swing plane. And then after that, the clevet quickly drops toward the swing plane here because of good shallowing motion here. And then if you look at the center of mass, it has more up and down motion here. And then this is dropped more, and then with a good push, it's going up rapidly here. Pelvis motion. And then he has less rotation, but more lateral tilt here. And then if you look at the pelvis motion in the away and toward direction, pelvis moves away from the target up to this point here, and it returns to this position. It's called the recentering. It's because the pelvis rotates and then rotates back. So it's going here. And then good shift toward the target here. So instead of early quick shift away and then having the second peak here, because of spinning motion, the butt is sticking out this way. Rather, you shift away and then just recenter. Shift away and then return to the initial position, and then continuous shift toward the target once the pelvis starts rotating toward the target. And then X factor, continuous separation all the way to top of backswing. No downswing stretch here. Kinetic sequence. So this is 5 and 6. This is the transition phase here. You see, it's well-spaced sequential transition here from backswing to downswing. The pelvis peak occurs about midway in the backswing, and then the arms later and the club later here. So basically the climax is more toward the end of backswing. And then the peak occurs about here. And then more time toward impact. So the wrist angular velocity exceeds man's average. The club angular velocity exceeds man's average. And then the way he uses the ground here. You see, this is a lot simpler here. Stays here and then good push, unweighting, continues unweighting here, and then good push here. So simply push, 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 push. When you have good pushes, then between the pushes, you automatically have good unweighting.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about unweighting. Okay, push, push.
Yeah.
And then a lot more force acting on the lead side at the beginning of backswing here. So he's starting the backswing really actively using the lead leg. And then, so lead leg push here at the beginning, and then trail leg push here, and then lead leg push again here. So it's a taking turns. And then you see the moment time here. So let's go to where the moment time is the longest, about here. Yeah, the force is inclined, and also it's moving more toward the center here, and so you have good separation here. So at this stage, the force is less than body weight, so it's going through unweighting. But in spite of this small ground reaction force, because it's a long momentum, he's generating this much torque at the beginning of the downswing. This is elite man's average maximum, but in this golfer reaches this value at the beginning of the downswing, and then pretty much maintains here, maintains the torque up to this position here. So he's generating good amount of torque by using the ground. So what the patterns are a lot simpler than yours, instead of going up, down, up, down, up, down. So the bottom line is you need to have initial shift motion instead of a quick spinning motion. And then use the right leg actively and have a more active backswing. Build the climax toward the end of the backswing and connect it to downswing. And have a long enough transition phase and then sequential transitions. For that, you have to use the momentum of the body and then come down instead of try to hit hard with your muscles. Yeah. Any questions?